Since 2006, YouTube has evolved to become one of the largest global consumer market influences, built on the foundations of a simple motto: broadcast yourself. The idea that any one of you can be their champion. Now there have been the Fred Frigglehorns, the Casey Neistats, the Shane Dawsons, and Smosh. But on April 29th, 2010, a young Swede named Felix, better known as Pewdiepie, would later become the largest channel anyone had ever seen. 66 million subscribers, undisputed, unchallenged, untouched, until now. Oh, I'd only do that so long. What's up, Jeb? Welcome back to YouTube's 890,236th largest channel. I'm Ryan, kicking names and taking... But that's not how it goes. And Pewdiepie, Emperor of YouTube, Lord of the Brofist, is set to lose his illustrious crown to T-Series, who, according to their bio, is just trying to bring the world closer together through music. A humble goal. Tell you what, I can feel my kundalini rising. But is there more to this story? A channel seemingly unknown to the public eye just happens to come right from under our noses. Could this be more than just an end to an era? More than a top spot swap from what I can only presume is the Indian version of Vivo? YouTube. Broadcast yourself. Words that brought optimism, hope. What if these words were reduced to nothing but an empty memory? Who really is T-Series? And more importantly, is this takeover a sign of things to come? Should we be afraid? I'm going to tell you exactly what happened and why you didn't see this one coming. Everything has a beginning. Time, the conception of the universe, that Hot Pocket cooking in your microwave, that had a beginning. And on a much less epic scale, so did the YouTube channels that have brought you joy. So what about T-Series beginning? A lot of us think that T-Series has come out of the blue, but we've been mistaken. They weren't always the most viewed channel with over 47 billion views, threatening the world with numerical superiority. What you may not know is that T-Series has always been here. Since 2006, far before Felix and many of the major YouTubers we see today. In fact, the story of T-Series is far different than that of your standard creator. You see, T-Series isn't a person, a place, but a thing. A corporate entity, which according to an article by Digitpin actually dates back to the early 1980s. A simpler time with smarter people. And Footloose. Beginning as a humble family-run business would by the year 2000 become a powerhouse in Indian soundtracks and cinema. Bollywood. Oh yes. Who, if you're not familiar, is more than just a cute play on America's Hollywood. Rather, Bollywood is the major center for regional Indian music, films, etc. Today being the largest producer of film content in the world, and some heated television dramas. Go India. And if Game of Thrones was actually a Bollywood spin-off, then T-Series would be the major province we call Westeros, personally holding many of the film and music rights being put out to the world. Oh, and the Iron Throne. Now, T-Series has crossed the narrow sea, invading YouTube, and is primed to conquer these new lands. But does this mean winter is coming? Well, let's find out. So, unknown to the masses, T-Series has been an established entity for decades, but what makes this corporate giant so special? Well, with such deep roots in entertainment, it shouldn't be much of a surprise they are where they are. If we dive deeper into their YouTube history, you can see that T-Series is the Batman for a string of several T-Series spin-off Robins, such as T-Series Apna Punjab or T-Series Telugu, all names that roll right off the tongue. Corporations and YouTubers. Kind of a rocky history. I'd hardly say they consider themselves bosom friends. But what happens when those two words are one and the same? Now that we know that T-Series is much more than your average YouTuber commentating on trends in their apartment bedroom, is this corporate tube nation something to be feared? Why didn't we see them coming? To understand how one entity can simply plow through Social Blade's grading system without so much as a how do you do, we should now compare the two most powerful channels on the platform. If Social Blade taught YouTube success at university, then T-Series would be passing with flying colors. Either T-Series is sleeping with a professor or someone is just extra special. So, you better get on your knees, Felix. Their growth, to say the least, has been exponential, and if this continues, could kiss the magic figure of 100 million subscribers by next year. An insurmountable number. until now, rushing in a new definition for untouchable. But what about Pewds? According to the data on Blade Social, PewDiePie's nearly 1 million subs a month is only a quarter of T-Series' monthly gain. They're gaining subs like flies to newly laid dung. Wait, that means in just a month and a half, PewDiePie could be kicked off the pot. Let's look closer. What about views? Surely if they're around the same sub count, their views are comparable, right? Okay, PewDiePie, 5 million views a day, respectable. How about T-Series? Sweet mammoth balls, 100 million daily views. Being a major corporation with the ability to upload multiple times a day makes it much more feasible to reach this level of viewership. Unlike Pewds, who has minimal staff, and Brad. However, looking at both channels side by side, something doesn't add up. 2 words. Viewer consistency. PewDiePie's viewer consistency is far higher than T-Series. Why is this? With a viewer to subscriber ratio this out of whack, usually channels couldn't have become so thick with subs. What secrets could they be hiding? Conquering this monopoly game we call YouTube is no easy feat. Well, it turns out, even for being so different, the reason for T-Series' success could actually be the same as PewDiePie's. Do you remember taking geography in high school, coloring maps, studying populations and culture? Well, geography has an interesting place here on YouTube as well. Success on the platform is generally a two-way street. Content is rewarded based on the time watched per video. The more session time you can bring to the site, the more YouTube can and will promote your content. And PewDiePie has been able to dominate the platform by uploading consistently, nearly daily content that kept the viewer watching, and thus was rewarded. But surely that can't be the whole story. In a 2013 video by game theorists, MatPat discusses the avenues which led PewDiePie to becoming king of this media hill. Sparking geographical diversity is one of the main cruxes to success. That's an interesting word, geography. If you think about it, don't try too hard now. Felix had a unique timing advantage based on where he was from. Being international and English-speaking basically allowed PewDiePie to draw from a larger audience, at the same time English-speaking countries being the major demo. And a very similar geographic timing advantage is helping T-Series to grow in India. Now you're probably thinking T-Series based in India, the English language can't be what's diversifying their content to an audience. And you'd be right. It's not. India, home to soon to be the largest population on Earth, 1.3 billion give or take, is a practically untapped market of potential. Potential views, that is. An audience that hasn't been taken care of by the English-speaking outsiders like PewDiePie. There's also one thing that T-Series has that Pewds doesn't, the backing of a major corporation. And with it, the amazing world of, can you guess? Bollywood. Indian content is very popular, even outside of India, places like the Middle East, Africa, some European countries, and even in my backyard, all hungry for some Bolly action. And a professional card like T-Series, which can produce and sell big budget music videos, easily sees the opportunity to dominate the market before anyone else could take charge. So could it be that we didn't see this coming because we simply weren't looking? Up until this point, India, considered to be an undeveloped nation, didn't have the bandwidth to meet its now millions of YouTube users. But that has all began to change within the last 5 years, opening the floodgates. Now the country is craving more of this. So why should you care? With T-Series being a corporation, was there ever really room for competition? Is the saying true, all is fair in love and war? Perhaps T-Series taking over is part of something much larger, more dangerous. The beginning in a string of corporate organizations that can and will slowly push off the idea that anyone can make it. YouTube. Broadcast yourself. We like hearing success stories, and the story of T-Series is one of massive success. The story of how reaching out to an untapped market can bring about immense growth. But this is not the sort of success story we're used to hearing. This isn't a man or woman from a small town who overcame massive amounts of adversity and struggle to become the champion. The story of the gladiator winning their freedom. No, this is the story of an emperor becoming an even bigger emperor. And YouTube's Susan, an empress herself, wants to make this platform more mainstream. How do you think they'll get what they want? By pushing us, the individual? Or big business? So the question I want to leave with you is not whether or not we saw this giant coming, but now that we see it right in front of us, where is this going to lead? Remember, I'm Ryan, and I'll see you in the next video.